Hi, everyone. Welcome to OneSoccer.ca and happy International Women's Day. You know, there's this incredible saying, if you can see it, you can be it. And while that might ring true for somebody like me who's in front of the camera, what about the incredible women who do things behind the scenes? And we have such incredible women here at OneSoccer, and I wanted to highlight them here today because if you can see them, if you so choose, you can be them. So, Nora, I'll begin with you. Introduction, and what is it that you do at OneSoccer?
My name's Nora, and I think my title would be a video producer, but I do a bunch of things. How much time do you got, Andy?
You're very versatile, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, behind the scenes, yeah. So I do a lot of editing. So any sort of, I mean, Holly does the editing as well. So we both split up, different features and promos and different bits and bobs. I also do videography for the channel as well. So as well as, match photography and just different aspects on that, and motion graphics and some graphics on the side for shows. And yeah.
All right. Excellent. Holly.
All right. My name's Holly. And like Nora said, I'm also a video editor at OneSoccer. She pretty much covered it. We split up a lot of the things here, whether it's the stuff you see online or on the broadcasts. We're usually the two behind that stuff. So
you bring the shows to life. So I want to give you guys the credit here because you really do. We can talk into a camera all we want, but then you have the great edits, you have the great graphics, you have the B-roll that rolls over top. You have these promotional videos that go out that can be so inspirational. And, Nora, I know a lot of times you being on the sideline with your photography, you capture these incredible moments. So the two of you basically take something that's 1D and you make it 3D. And it is so wonderful what you're able to do with the product here at OneSoccer. And speaking of the product, decision maker, powerhouse behind the scenes, Alba, I will allow you to introduce yourself and what is it that you do at OneSoccer?
Well, so I'm the vice president of the channel, but also the director of production. So I try to oversee all the operations of the channel and the different departments, from the production on location to the final broadcast. And this is a short line, but it entails a lot of things, as all of us do. So that's mostly what I do.
Yeah, a lot of the decision making and a lot of the planning to make sure that we go to air. Basically, there's a lot of work that goes on there. Nora, I'll begin with you as we go around the table here. What made you choose sports media? Why was this the industry that you decided to get into?
I come from a sports-oriented family. I played basketball and I swam competitively when I was younger. I was even thinking about possibly taking the route, but then I also wanted to tell stories. So I actually moved to France and I did my degree in film editing and directing. And then I ended up moving to London, and it happened that my flatmate was working in the Premier League, and she introduced me to she connected me with a bunch of amazing people in the football world. And I started working in football and filming and photography and just different events around that. And it's kind of just flourished, and I've gotten really invested in all types of sports and sports documentaries and, sports match photography. So,
yeah. Very, very
And I'm
cool.
loving it.
Oh, yeah. We love having you, Holly.
Honestly, for me, it's started off a bit similar as to Nora. I've always played sports growing up, specifically soccer, actually. And I always thought, like, if I can't play it for the rest of my life, maybe work in it. So I didn't think it was, honestly, I never thought, these jobs are possible, and because you see people doing them on TV all the time, but I guess I just didn't know it was possible for me. So one day I just Googled sports jobs in Toronto, but instead a school came up. So I actually went to school for sports media for 2 years. And then the year that I graduated was the year that the CPL started. So it all just kind of fell into place, I guess you could say. I got really lucky, joining OneSoccer the first year that CPL kind of started. So it's been, and then a couple years later, still here, still loving it. And happy to grow with the CPL, with OneSoccer, and everyone that I've been able to meet.
I love that. Just Google sports job. And it's like, you are going to go here first to school and then
Right.
do amazing things. But hey, sometimes that's what it takes. It's as simple as that. That really is sometimes what it takes. Alba, you've had, obviously coming from Spain as well, you've had quite the different, jobs that you've had along the way and the trajectory. But why sports? What even encouraged you to get into this field?
Let me tell you that I never planned on it. So I just got offered this internship as a master control for La Liga and UEFA games. So it was soccer, football there. So I just got into soccer. And then when I wanted to change my profile, it was an opening producing Formula One. So again, another sport. So I think it's just sport and live TV matches my personality, this kind of adrenaline that it gets along. So that's how I started to love it. But it was never planned. It was never my intention.
Mm-hmm. Well, you fell into it clearly, and you're doing something right because of what you're able to accomplish here at OneSoccer. But I am curious, and I mean, I know I have my stories, and I will say it's not as much. Maybe it's because I've been around a very long time, but I definitely know in the beginning, I would be stopped on sidelines because, but the men that I was with would never get stopped, right? It was always this belief that, oh, well, the men are here, they must be sports journalists, but this woman must have, snuck in. I've had moments like that where, and you're not taken seriously, or they just have a hard time believing that you're a woman covering, especially a men's league or a men's sport, and you just kind of have to deal with a little bit more of that hassle than a male reporter would have to. So I don't know, Nora, if you've had or continue to have challenges as someone, a woman on the sidelines, a woman in the trenches in covering men's leagues.
I mean, again, how much time do you got?
Yeah.
No, loads. I don't know. Definitely, I've felt the pressure of having to prove myself twice as much as the next person. That's for sure. I still face it often. Mm-hmm. I think the first thing that comes to mind is actually a moment that happened last year. It was ahead of a big match, and I was setting up my camera on a match day -1 scrum. And, there's a lot of notable networks, reporters, camera operators, and you're all kind of squished in as one. But we were the host broadcast, so usually host broadcast gets the middle spot, prime position. And so I was filming off to the side first, like a one-on-one, and then I came a little bit later than the rest, and I squeezed in. And then I think the one of the more notable networks to the left, he moved over, but he wasn't too happy about it. But the other guy who was also from a pretty big network moved to the right, no problem. And a few seconds later, I feel someone tap me on the shoulder, and he goes, "Are you sure your camera settings are correct?" I was like, what an odd question. But and also you can turn off your settings on the display, so he couldn't even see them. And then I just thought, I turned to the guy on the right, and I was like, listen, we're checking each other's settings. I just wanted to make sure that yours are okay, so you're good to go. And then the guy had overheard the question, so he chuckled, and he's like, thank God you asked me, because I would have forgotten to turn on my camera. And then I looked at the other guy to the left, and I was like, okay, that's good. I'm glad we had this chat. We're all ready now. And then it was just like, it was one of those bizarre situations to the point where, like, what do you say to that? It's so, like, you're not asking. I was the only female in the scrum too. There's about 20 to 30 reporters and camera operators there. And I mean, at this point, I'm kind of just accustomed to it. So I'm not saying anything about it. I don't know. I'm just there to do my job like the rest.
Yeah.
And what can you do? You just laugh it off, and, you're there to do a job. I mean, OneSoccer trusted me with the camera settings, so clearly I'm doing something right.
Well, and I mean, I guess sometimes to be cheeky can also send home a pretty strong message to somebody as well.
Yeah, the guy to the right and I became buddies. It was like we bonded over it.
I love it. I do like that. Holly, I don't know if you've ever encountered anything like that.
Honestly, I can't really think of a moment where something like that has happened to me, but it's being a female in a predominantly male industry is never going to be easy. But the only things I can really think of is at school when, out of 40 students, there was seven females, including myself. So you always just feel like you have to, like Nora said, prove yourself a little bit more than anybody else. And, you know, because people find it hard to believe that a female can, you know, cover a sport just as well as a male. So I don't doubt, unfortunately, I don't doubt that I'll, you know, encounter some hardships further along in my career. But honestly, right now, I feel like I haven't faced anything like that. But yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I don't doubt that it'll happen sometime in the future. But you know what, it's a lot of fun proving people wrong, and especially when it's something you're passionate and something you enjoy. So if I
And
have
that
to
you're
do
good
that
at, Holly.
down the road,
Getting that in there.
if I have to do that, I'll gladly do it any day.
Yeah. Well, I hope you don't face that. And, you know, I'm not just saying that because we're here for OneSoccer, but clearly I don't think any of us would really work for a company we didn't feel treated us obviously respectfully, right? Because a lot of times too, it can come from the higher ups, to your point about having to work extra hard, right? Or just that much more. Because sometimes if a man messes up an edit, it's like, okay, can you just go and fix this? But you still sometimes carry the burden of, well, if a woman messes up the edit, it's like, oh, but can she do it? Can she handle it? And I hate that so much, right? It just always ends up going that other level. And Alba, I can't even imagine. I mean, you're in boardrooms, you're meeting with the quote unquote, like the heavy hitters, right? But you are a heavy hitter too. Do people give you a hard time for that? Do you find that oftentimes you're the only woman in a lot of these really important decision-making meetings?
The first times I used to take pictures because there were like 10 men and myself. So it was kind of funny, like, hey, I'm here, I'm representing women. It was so funny. But I think I've been lucky, as you said, like we're working in a company and I'm not only selling the values that this company have, but they always try to grant this equity with male and female. So I think I've been lucky. And also I come from an engineering background. So I've always been surrounded by men. It's true that in the sports world, since it was not my intention, not my passion either, sometimes, yeah, you have these people like Formula One, soccer, they know more than you, and I know that. Sometimes I really had to like put a foot, how you say that, put my foot down and like, look, I'm doing my job, I know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not the expert, but I'm here for a reason. I earned that spot, right? So that happened, that I used to had to work more to be in the same level and to show things. But I think when they realize that you are capable of doing that and how you work for that, how hard you work for that, then they just step aside and like, okay, you are in that spot, so now it's your turn.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that as well. What would be your message, Nora, to, you know, young girls out there who are watching now, or maybe there's even someone who's thinking of a career change, depending on where they are in life? What would just be your message to women who want to pursue a career in sports?
I mean, it might be a little bit cheesy, but I think back to one of the moments that gave me goosebumps as a reference in 2008 when the Celtics beat the Lakers. One of my favorite players, Kevin Garnett, had that iconic moment of yelling, "Anything is possible," and you know, it gave me chills. So I stand by that, and I think that if there's anything you want to do, I mean, it's just have a good work ethic and just push for it, and you'll make it happen. And definitely back yourself. You have to be the one to back yourself the most, because there's going to be times when, I mean, obviously others are going to doubt you. Just don't doubt yourself, and you got to progress on your own craft. Also support other women. I think there's enough food on the table for everyone. So, I mean, the only real competition should be yourself, or at least that's how I look at it. And then just always look how you can do better on the next one, and, you know, support each other. And Andy, you've given me a couple shout outs on air, so I appreciate that, because you're a true legend. So.
I appreciate that. And you know what? You're so right. I feel like that mentality of like the token woman in the group. Ugh. Do you want to be a lone token, or do you want to be part of a treasure chest full of gold? I love the treasure chest full of gold. Thank you very much. Holly, what would be your message to any woman who wants to pursue this as a career?
Yeah, honestly, mine would be just do it. Just go for it. There's really nothing to lose. There's so many, you know, different spots you can land in this industry. And it took me 3-4 years of not like after high school, not going to school. I just worked, didn't know what I wanted to do. And like I said, you just Google something one day and, and it was probably the best Google search I've ever made.
I was just gonna say I did the Adidas reference, you did the Nike. Anything or impossible is nothing. Just do it.
Just do it. I honestly, I mean, obviously you put the work in, you Googled, it sets you on the path, but then you had to walk that path. And I absolutely love it, but that's still a great story. I'm going to have to bring that up. It's that one, hey, do you want to know what you need to do? You need to Google it. How about that? And then maybe the career path will open up for you. And I mean, Alba, you're also like this interesting example of, it may not have been your first goal to pursue something in sport, but you're also an example of there are so many avenues. Because I still think a lot of people believe that in order to get into sports as a woman, you have to be in front of the camera. But you're also a great example of someone who can land and be successful in executive roles. So what would your message be?
That's what I wanted to say. So we're done here. No, really, because you never know which path. Just try, just work hard, and you just need to love it. If you don't love it, just change. But you just need to keep trying and find your passion. And that's all I did. And I keep evolving. I always try to learn more because that's what gets me motivated to follow my passion, right? So just try.
Yeah. I'll leave you with this on it being International Women's Day. And to your point, Nora, about, supporting other women. Is there a shout out? Is there, it doesn't necessarily have to be a woman in the industry. Maybe it's mom, maybe it's grandma, maybe it's that next door neighbor, who always kind of encouraged you. Is there a woman who just helped you along the way who you want to give a special shout out to?
Oof, I have plenty, but I think definitely my mom. She's the most important person in my life. She's a true superhero, Wonder Woman, Superwoman. She's an icon. Honestly, she's faced everything under the sun, and she still somehow pushes through it all. She's the strongest person I know. She's a legend too. So I definitely say my mom. Hi, Mom.
Mama Nora, love it. Holly, who would you like to maybe give a shout out to?
Honestly, I'll give a shout out to the three of you because it's just it's really inspiring, and it's nice to work with other women in the industry, and especially ones that do such a great job like all of you. So I'm gonna be the cheesy one and say the three of you.
That's such a good answer. I should have said that.
Yeah. I love that. That is so sad. Alba, the final word will go to you.
Look, I'm the last one. I can't be original. I don't know what to say. Like, I've never had a female boss before, so I can't go to that path. Obviously, my mom, my grandma, I used to think like how these women actual women as well, but they did a lot of things and they were never recognized. Like, I don't know, like shout out to them, but that's it.
Yeah. No, there's so many incredible women who do things, like you said, that don't even get that type of recognition, but we see you and we do applaud you. And I just want to also thank the three of you as well for doing so many things that are incredible behind the scenes. I often say, as someone who's on air, our face is what the audience sees. So, when things go well, when things are, people are excited about a team or the product, or this feature that just aired, I know, I put my hand up. I know that the on-air person will get the credit for it, but you need to know that we are fully aware that we are nothing without you behind the scenes who help us and prop us up and make sure that we can take all your hard work and sell it to the audience and make it the best product available. So I think we make one great team. And I really appreciate the three of you taking the time to chat with me today on International Women's Day. Holly Williams, we got Nora and Alba. Thanks so much for tuning into OneSoccer.ca.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having, exactly.